We begin with the new and troubling headlines about one of America's most popular family vehicles, the Chrysler Minivan. More than 4 million of them are on the road now. This week, government safety experts announced what Chrysler has denied for years and continues to deny today, that the minivan has a safety problem, a real latch that can open in collisions, allowing passengers to be thrown out, sometimes to their deaths.
And this news was not a surprise to us. For the past 9 months, 2020 has been investigating complaints about these rear latches. And what we discovered has raised some serious questions. As correspondent James Walker reports, why has Chrysler waited years to strengthen this latch? And is the government doing enough to protect minivan passengers?
There was Alex Boyd in North Carolina.
I was sitting in the back seat, and I had a lap belt on. And I flew out the back door, and I got stitches there and stitches up there.
Graham Woodbrook in Florida.
I turned around to see if everybody was okay, and I could see the two girls, and I couldn't see Heidi, and the rear door was open.
And Tim Hartshorn in Michigan.
The only thing I know for sure is that the seatbelts came undone and the back hatch opened and the children were thrown out, and that killed them.
These accidents, which involve Chrysler minivans, have something in common. When the vans were hit, even at moderate speeds, this rear door latch apparently twisted, the liftgate popped open, and passengers sitting in this removable seat, some wearing seatbelts, some not, were ejected out of the back.
It was being hurled from the car that caused their deaths. It was the breakage of all their bones that caused their deaths.
8-year-old Michael Hartshorn and his 15-month-old sister Catherine were ejected from their parents' Plymouth minivan. The accident in Mount Pleasant, Michigan happened in 1992.
The 8-year-old is the one that landed next to the house in the bushes, and the infant and the car seat were thrown into this area of the yard over here.
The Hartshorns sued Chrysler, alleging a weak latch was responsible for their children's deaths. The company settled the lawsuit out of court. Last fall, the federal government conducted these crash tests, which it made public 2 days ago. When a Chrysler minivan is hit at 30 miles an hour, the rear hatch opens and passengers are ejected. By March of this year, the government had received reports that 32 passengers had been killed and 76 injured in these types of accidents. Under mounting pressure and with the government's blessing, Chrysler responded.
Today we are announcing an unprecedented action that is going to put the issue of Chrysler minivan liftgate latches behind us.
Chrysler insisted that the rear door latch was safe.
Now, throughout this investigation, Chrysler has maintained that there is no safety defect in our minivan latches, and we continue to believe that today.
Without admitting a safety problem, the company offered to replace the rear latch on 4 million Plymouth, Dodge, and Chrysler minivans. It was not a government-ordered recall, but a voluntary service action.
Your concern is our concern. So for your peace of mind, we will replace your 1984 through 94 liftgate latch with a stronger latch, free.
Remember, it was just this past March that Chrysler made the offer. But according to this man, Paul Sheridan, Chrysler had known for years that it had a safety problem with the latch.
How long has Chrysler known about this?
Well, I'm going to say Chrysler has known about this for at least the last 4 to 5 years. I became aware of it in a direct sense in 1992.
Why should he know the inner workings of Chrysler? Because he was there on the inside for 10 years. For nearly 2 of those years, until late last year, Paul Sheridan was chairman of Chrysler's minivan safety team. When we spoke to him in March, he told us what his safety team had learned about the rear latch.
In minor accidents, the latch fails, the hatch opens, and occupants are being ejected out of the back of the minivan. This causes serious injury, and unfortunately, in some cases, it has caused death.
But despite what Sheridan said Chrysler knew, this March the company still maintained publicly that the latches were safe. The automaker sent out letters to minivan owners blaming emotional media coverage for the controversy, and they reassured owners there has been no formal determination that a safety defect exists. Edna Benziger from Bronxville, New York, says the letter gave her no cause for alarm.
I really didn't think it was a real safety issue. I thought it was just a small part of the lock system that was defective that we would just replace. But when they told me they didn't have the parts, they didn't tell me there was an urgency either. They said call back in 3 months.
Months went by and the latches still were not available. The reason, according to Chrysler, engineering delays. Meanwhile, Chrysler had set up a telephone hotline. Operators were given this script. When asked why owners should feel safe, the operators were instructed to say, "There is no defect with the current latch. Owners can best protect themselves by using seatbelts at all times." But seatbelts did not save 9-year-old Brandon Auer. His parents, Donna and Brian, were among minivan owners who say they had no safety concerns after receiving the letter from Chrysler.
They implied there was not really a safety concern, that they were doing it just for the peace of mind of their valued customers. So we didn't think that our family was in danger.
Just last month, more than 5 months after Chrysler insisted its latch was safe, the Auers were driving their 1989 Plymouth Voyager on this Illinois road. Both of their sons, they say, were wearing seatbelts. Alex in the middle seat, Brandon in the rear. A car ran a stop sign and slammed into the van, propelling it into this cornfield.
Donna yelled for me to get Brandon, and she would get Alex. And I turned around and looked. My gate is open, and my rear seat is gone. And I yelled, "Oh, my God, Brandon's gone."
Brandon was ejected. His mother found him at least 58 feet from the van. He was still buckled into his seat.
He was slumped over in his seat, and I undid his seat belt, and there were 2 people there already, and we laid him down on the ground, and they started CPR on him immediately.
But it didn't do any good.
A coroner's jury concluded Brandon was killed because he was ejected due to the failure of the van's latches.